In today's video, I'm going to share with you 5 super easy and affordable fall DIYs for your home this fall season. Hello. Welcome back to Ramon at Home. I'm so excited you're here today because in this video, I'm going to share with you 5 fall decorating ideas and DIYs that are super easy to make and really affordable. I promise you, you're going to be dazzled by these beautiful DIYs for fall. Now, last week I shared with you 5 fall DIY ideas that were super easy to make in neutral palette. So if you have not seen that video, I'm going to link it down below so you guys can check it out after this one and catch up and get inspired to create something beautiful in your home this fall season. So if you are interested, please stay tuned and don't forget to like this video and share with your friends. Be sure to let them know what we're doing for fall here at Ramon at Home. If you are new to the channel, consider subscribing, and if you are already subscribed, don't forget to turn the notification bell on because you will not want to miss what's coming out next for our fall season 2023 and of course the holiday season, which we're getting started with it already. All right, you guys, well, I'm gonna take you to the studio and I'm going to share with you fall DIY idea number 1 that is super easy to make and it won't break the budget. Let's take a look. All right, everyone, so for our first fall DIY that is super easy to make, what we're going to do is going to be a topiary. Now, I wanted to mention a few things. All of these DIYs are going to be inspired by this ribbon that I found at Michael's that I absolutely am obsessed with. Look at this beautiful stripe, and it comes in this terracotta and kind of like a cream color, and I'm gonna base my designs off of this ribbon right here. So for this particular project, I selected a terracotta pot. I'm gonna use 2 pumpkins in different sizes and widths. I'm going to use some little sticks for accents. I'm gonna use 2 stems that are from older florals that I cut. Remember, I always tell you to save some of the stems from longer florals because they really do come in handy. I'm gonna use a selection of foliages like this beautiful eucalyptus, some of this maple, and one of these bundles of florals from Walmart. Believe it or not, these are from Walmart, and I really love all of the colors because I think they're going to go so well with this project. All right, so let me not forget my hot glue gun, and I'm going to move over here because she really comes in handy for these projects. All right, so I'm going to clear this real quick, and I'll be right back with you to give you step number 1. Keep watching. All right, so we're going to start with this terracotta pot that I have used for a past project. So what I'm going to do is I'm gonna pull this green moss, and you know what, I think this green moss has seen better days. You guys know that I like to reuse my containers and certain items because I just use them to teach you techniques on how you can create these beautiful designs. So sometimes I make a project, I take it apart and I store it. And so for this particular one, I'm gonna use this terracotta pot that, believe it or not, was in my garden this past spring, and I just put some foam inside. And the way to do this foam is you have to make sure that it is as tight as possible so that way your design is not coming apart in the middle of the season, right? And so what I'm going to do is I'm gonna replace that green foam with some of this gray foam because I do want to cover some of this perimeter, and look how pretty that gray moss just looks. It is perfect for fall, and I just love the organic design that this gives to our beautiful arrangement. Now, this is something that I learned how to do when I worked as a florist, and that was a long time ago. I was a florist for about 15 years, so I learned all of the tricks of the trade, and now that's what I want to pass along to you. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab a skewer, and what you need to do is like poke some of this moss into place, and all you have to do is like grab a skewer or a pen or a pencil and just poke some of that, and that's going to lock in some of that moss, and it's not gonna come out anytime soon. All right, so now that I am done with that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to get rid of the excess moss, and you know what, I'm just gonna put it over there for now. And what I'm going to do is I'm gonna grab my pumpkins, and I'm gonna start with a large one, and I'm gonna make sure that I center it like this. I wanna make sure that it's centered right here. and I'm gonna take this stem out. So what I'm going to do is I'm gonna grab one of these skewers or these stems. I'm gonna grab the longest one, so I make sure that it goes all the way down. And I'm gonna go all the way through, and I'm gonna penetrate, making sure that I poke through my pumpkin, so that way I can go all the way down. But I have to make sure that I leave enough of it for my next layer. All right, let me grab some florist foam and I'll be right back with you. Okay everyone, so what we're going to do is we're gonna grab a little square of florist foam, and what I'm going to do is I'm gonna about center it right here, and I'm going to penetrate the foam going down like this. And what I'm going to do now is I'm gonna go from the top, so I'm gonna make sure that I go on the same hole like that, right next to the other skewer, and this is going to double secure my foam and then also my pumpkin, so she's not gonna go anywhere. So now what I'm going to do is I'm gonna grab the second pumpkin, and I'm gonna make sure that I go right in the middle like this, and I'm going to poke like that. Look how easy that was, right? So now that I have them secure, what I'm going to do is I'm gonna grab my hot glue gun, and you know what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this one out. This is the one that worries me the most. So what I'm going to do is I'm gonna put some glue on it, and then I'm gonna center it again to make sure that she stays right there. So this is the basics of our topiary. I'm gonna get all my florals and my greenery ready, and I'll be right back. Keep watching. Okay, so for our next step, what we're going to do is we're gonna add our florals and our foliages. And I'm gonna start with this beautiful eucalyptus that I have used a few times before, and I just absolutely love this eucalyptus, you guys. It is so pretty. But we're going to mix it with some of this maple. So what I want to do is I'm gonna do a triangle right here with this particular greenery, because I only have so much of it. So what you want to make sure is that you use all throughout your bouquet. So we're gonna use 3 for the bottom. Remember, it has to be the same. What happens on the right happens on the left, and what goes up always must come down. So that's why we want to make sure that we use all the same greenery all the time. And so we're going to do this right here. Look how you already have the same greenery on the top and then on the bottom. So now what I'm going to do is I'm gonna have some of these cut off maple, and these are the ones that are going to be closer to my arrangement, and the ones that are going to kind of fill in my spot. So basically I'm just gonna go ahead and grab it. At this point, if you are making this for sale or to give away to a family member, I recommend you glue this. Since I said to you before, this is just for demonstration purposes, all I'm going to do is, well, just cover it and then reuse some of these materials. If you made it to this video so far, be sure to give the video a thumbs up, you guys, because that really helps the channel and it helps us get to more people. So share it with your friends, with your family members, with whoever wants to know about home decorating ideas and DIYs, so that way they know about Ramon at home and they can come and join us. All right, so now I have this beautiful yellowish maple, and what I'm going to is I'm gonna put all of these greeneries all the way to the top, because I want them to be really close, and because I want to cut them all at once like that. So I'm gonna cut one, and I'm gonna insert right here. Remember, we're trying to cover some of this perimeter of our topiary as much as possible, and the best thing you can do is spin that bouquet around. And keep in mind, what happens on the right happens on the left, what goes up must come down, and I promise you, you will always have a very well balanced bouquet. And it really is about balancing your bouquets. When you see a bouquet that just doesn't feel right, if you look at the balance first, you'll probably find out that the person who made it didn't understand balance when it came down to florals and foliages. And so I don't want you to be one of those people. So I really do want you to understand the mechanics that go into creating a beautiful bouquet of flowers, or topiary in this case. So I'm just going around and I'm trying to cover as much as I can of that foam. You guys, I am having so much fun sharing the fall season. Have you seen our last DIY videos? I did 5 fall DIYs that were affordable, easy to make, and they were super gorgeous. If you have not seen them, They are going to be linked down below. They were all done in neutral colors. It was so pretty and I really enjoyed it. All right, so far I like what I'm seeing. So I'm gonna stop right here and I'm going to go ahead and add these cute little branches. This came on a pick, and every time that I take a pick apart, I just save some of the parts because I never know where I want to use. So look at this. I'm gonna add this little branch right here, and look at that. It just adds an organic feel to it. And so I'm gonna add the other one over on the other side, over on this side right here. Look at that. Perfect. All right, so now what I'm going to do is I'm gonna grab all of these florals, and like I said before, this came from Walmart, and what I'm going to do is I'm gonna use all of my flowers very short. So what I wanna do is I'm gonna go ahead and cut them short already so we can insert, but I do wanna leave as much as I can of this particular stem because I wanna show you how to do a DIY with a stem like this one. So sometimes the floral comes in this long form and we cut them all the way down to here just to cut up here, right? Well, I'm gonna share with you how to reuse this for a floral pick DIY that I'm gonna share with you coming up soon. So remember, keep this part, has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 florals, but we're going to keep this. It almost looks like one of those things that you use to scratch your head. All right, so now that we have our florals, I'm gonna separate them by color. So there's 3 of each, therefore 9. So what I'm going to do is I'm gonna do 1 right here, and then I'm gonna go opposite the other side like this. And remember, we work in triangles, and so because I did 2 on the bottom, so now I'm going to go ahead and put this one right here on the top, creating that triangle motion. We always want to make sure that we create that triangle motion. So now what I'm going to do, I'm gonna repeat. So what happens on the right, check this out. What happens on the right happens on the left, and what goes up always must come down. So because I did the triangle, because I did left and right, so now I have to create that triangle. I'm gonna do this guy right here on the top. So what I'm going to do is I'm gonna grab some of this moss that I had left over, and I'm gonna grab little bundles like this. And then I'm gonna go in here and find parts where I can see my foam, and I'm just gonna tuck in some of that moss. Look at this right here. You cannot see the moss, and it adds some organic feel to your arrangement. So that was another trick that we did with fresh flowers. So you look for places like, I'm gonna see if you can see right here where there's foam right here. So you're gonna grab that moss and you're gonna tuck in some of that moss in there. Be careful because this moss, it comes really dusty, so you want to make sure that you don't breathe all of that. So I'm going to do 1 more right here and see how that covers some of the greenery. There's 1 more right here that I'm going to do. I'm going to finish this and I'll give you a close-up of this beautiful bouquet. All right, everyone, so here is your close-up at this absolutely gorgeous topiary that, as you can see, was super easy to make using this gorgeous terracotta pot that you may already have laying around. Just a few greeneries and florals, 2 pumpkins, and look how absolutely gorgeous this can be on an entryway table, perhaps on your mantle, even on a coffee table will be absolutely gorgeous if you are having a party on the outdoors decorating. It is so beautiful and super easy to make and simple. I really hope that you give it a try, and if you do, be sure to come back and leave me a comment and let me know how you like yours. Now, wasn't that topiary super cute? I am telling you, these fall DIY ideas are not only easy to make, but affordable, you guys, so you can really give them a try. But if you've been following the channel for any time now, you know that one of my favorite things to do is a wreath. And our next fall DIY, I'm gonna share with you how to create a gorgeous fall wreath with just a few dollars. Let's take a look. All right, so for our next fall DIY, what we're going to do is a beautiful and affordable wreath for your front door. This is going to be absolutely gorgeous due to the selection of ribbons that I have chosen. They have these beautiful truck and pumpkins, and this is where I selected my colors from. It has the orange and the yellow of the pumpkins and the red of the truck. So what I've done is I selected a contrasting ribbon, which is going to be our inspiration ribbon, this right here, and then also this beautiful yellow burlap that I absolutely love. And this is a good way to get all of your colors that you may want to use. If you see right here, has the orange, the blue, the white, the creams, and all of those colors. I'm gonna use a selection of greeneries in the yellow for our pumpkin, and then also in the orange for our pumpkin. I'm gonna use 3 little pumpkins right here, and then also 3 sunflowers. I'm going to use a piece of foam, and then some burlap ribbon that I just had laying around. At this point, you can use any ribbon that you like. And I'm gonna use some wooden stakes that you can find at any local craft store. All right, so I'm gonna move all of my, and of course our wreath. Our wreath form, you can find this at any craft store or even at your dollar store. I'm sure they sell those too as well. So what I'm going to do is I'm gonna move some of my things over to this side so that I can work freely over here and share with you how we're gonna create this beautiful wreath. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to show you that this was just a regular pumpkin. And on our earlier project, I shared with you how we're gonna use the longer pick to create a DIY well. Guess what? We're also gonna use this short one right here. So what I'm going to do is I'm gonna bring my glue over to this side, and I'm gonna smear glue all over my picks. This was one of the floral picks that I had. And just make sure that you are generous on your glue. Swirl it around like this. And what we're going to do is we're gonna grab our pumpkin that came without a stem, and I'm going to basically just insert this right here and poke it really, really strongly like this. And we're gonna let it cool down, sitting upside down while we work on our wreath. All right, so our first order of things is going to be to cover our wreath form, and for that I'm gonna use some of this burlap ribbon that I already had. And you may already have seen me do this. So what you want to do is you want to start with a longer stretch right here and then go really tightly. And I'm going to cover this whole wreath form. So it's going to serve as a base to our wreath. And if you are enjoying these videos, you guys, be sure to share them with your friends so they can come and join us here at Ramon at Home. I'm having so much fun sharing with you the full season, and I cannot wait for you guys to see what we're planning for the holiday season. You know that Christmas here at Ramon at Home, we do it big, and this year we're going all the way in, or all the way in, kind of like when you're gambling. I don't gamble, but I've heard them people say before, I'm going all in. Well, this year we're going to go all in, and we are super excited to just bring you all brand new decorating ideas, DIYs, of course a home tour. You know, we can not do a season right here without a home tour, and I'm super excited to reveal the theme for the home tour this year, which is going to be coming out in a video really soon. If you do not have your notification bell on, be sure to notify or turn that notification bell on so you are notified about all of the upcoming DIYs for fall, for Christmas, and so that you can be the first ones to see. And I try to spend a few minutes there in the comment section a day so that I can answer some of those comments that you guys so graciously leave here for the channel. All right, so I'm halfway down, so I'm gonna continue wrapping this form, and I'll be right back with you to give you the next step, so keep watching. All right, so now that we've gotten to the end of our ribbon, what I'm going to do is I'm going to seal this with my hot glue gun. So what I'm going to do is I'm gonna grab my hot glue gun and add some glue at the end. And I'm just gonna make sure that very carefully so I don't burn myself. Put that down, and because it is burlap, you guys, it really latches on really quick. All right, so I'm gonna leave that to cool down. And what I'm going to do is I'm gonna put this the way I want it, which will be like that. And so I have a piece of foam that I gather, and what I'm going to do is I'm gonna grab some of the same glue right here, and I'm gonna be very generous with it because I'm going to glue this right here, like this. That's gonna serve us to put our picks and florals. And so what I'm going to do to double secure is I'm gonna grab some of this burlap, and you know what? First I'm gonna kind of stretch it like this to make sure that it's not gonna use a lot of that foam. And so what I'm going to do is I'm gonna grab right here. I'm gonna really tightly, making sure that I get the center as tight as you can. And then we're going to knot it as tight as you can. And that with the glue and with that knot is going to secure our foam into place. You're not gonna have to worry about it coming off. All right, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to share with you how I'm going to do the ribbons. First, I'm going to grab some of this beautiful striped ribbon, and I use a pin, a corsage pin, to secure it. So I wanna do tails with this. So I'm gonna do this much tail. So it's gonna be about 2 feet tail. And I'm gonna do 2 of them. And I'm gonna cut right here. And I always like to put my pin back on, so that way I don't, first of all, lose the pin, and second of all, so my ribbon doesn't come unravel. So that secures your pin. All right, so what I'm going to is, this is gonna be just tails. And I'm going to pinch right here, and I'm gonna grab one of these skewers, and I'm gonna put it right here. And then I'm going to just swirl this skewer around. You can find these little picks with a wire at your local craft store. I know Shinoda sells them. That's where I got mine. So you can call them and ask them for it. So we're gonna have these tails right here. I'm gonna add some glue to the pick. Super easy. And this is just going to be tail. So I'm gonna go up like that right there in the middle. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut some dovetails. And I want one longer than the other one, so I'm gonna cut one shorter. And so this is what they're going to look like, and I will share with you on the door. You won't be able to see the tails right now, but you'll see them later, and they'll make sense. All right, so then the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to actually first do our greenery. So let's do our greeneries. And so I'm gonna cut some of these at the same time, all of them very short, because I just wanna cover all of that. Remember to save that little part right here, because you never know when you're gonna use it for a pumpkin, right? So I'm gonna do 2 of these. You can find some of these picks at Hobby Lobby, Walmart, or even at your dollar store. They don't have to be very expensive, because we're gonna be using just to cover the foam. Like I said, we're gonna make sure that they are super tight on that foam. We're just trying to cover all of the perimeter of our foam so you don't see it. And remember to go down as well, because you wanna make sure that all of that foam is covered. So remember, what happens on the right happens on the left. What goes up must come down. And then you might want to also spill it forward like this. Look at that. And radiate everything from the middle. Remember, there has got to be a core where everything radiates from, because that's what's going to make your arrangement even more balanced and beautiful. So I'm going to use all of that like that. So basically, I just cover my foam like that. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to use some of these longer ones. I saved some of the longer ones so that we have some coming all the way up like this. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to do from the same space coming out like this, like that. And then I'm going to do one forward like that. So 3 on one side, and I'm going to do 2 on this side. And this one is extra long, so we're going to cut a little bit of it. And then I'm gonna do over to this side right here. And look how much bigger that little wreath already got just by adding some longer forms of greenery, right? All right, so then the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to add some of our ribbon, not this one, but the one with the truck. And for this particular design, what we're going to do is we're going to do 2 tails, and I'm gonna do single loops. This is gonna be very different, nothing we've ever done before. So basically what we're going to do is we're going to do a loop like this, and we want it to be pretty big. So I want to say it's probably about a 10 to 11 inch loop. Then we're going to twist like that, and we're going to cut right here. And we're going to grab this little pick once again, and we're going to tie all of this together to our pick. And remember to always put the design part to the front. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to add this guy right here, going that way. Look at that. And so I'm going to dovetail my ribbon. This is a very affordable way to make a wreath, you guys. You won't spend more than a few dollars to make a gorgeous wreath, I promise. Okay, so we have one going this way. So now I'm going to repeat on the other side. So we're going to give it a tail. We're going to do a loop. Remember to always pinch, 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 gather, pinch, then make that loop. Isn't this ribbon really cute with the little trucks? This ribbon came from Michael's, if I'm not mistaken. You can find it at Michael's. All right, so we're gonna go like this. We're gonna grab our little pin that has the wire, and we're going to wire all of this together like this. And so now what we're going to do is we're gonna go like this, and this is what's gonna create our bow. Look at that. And just make sure that you see all of those ribbons, and we're gonna cut this one short. Always at a dovetail. Remember, if I come to your home and your ribbon's not dovetail, most likely I will ask you for a pair of scissors so that I can do it for you. I'm always looking for dovetails. All right, so that is the 2 loop bows. And so now what I'm going to do is I'm gonna grab our yellow burlap ribbon. And this is a 1.5-inch ribbon. And that is the secret to this method, that you want to use different widths of ribbon to create something even more beautiful. I'm gonna put my hot glue gun over here so you guys can see. So I'm gonna grab this 1.5 ribbon, and I'm going to do the exact same thing. So I'm gonna do a little loop, or little tail, sorry, like that. I'm going to do a loop that it's probably about, I want to say about 10-inch loop, like that. We're gonna twist, even though there is no design, just so that we don't lose that, you know, that we always do it. And then we're going to loop like this, and look at this. I'm going to add this ribbon right here, right next to our other bow, and we're going to dovetail also at different widths. This is so much fun, and it is kind of like a super easy way to make a beautiful wreath in a different way. Look at all those tails, you guys. How is that not absolutely gorgeous? All right, so I'm gonna do the other side now, and I'm gonna explain to you why I'm doing this. Is because if I was to do the bow right here, I would not be able to put my flowers and my pumpkins and still have room for them to breathe, right? So we want to make sure that we have room for that pumpkin to breathe and for that sunflower to breathe, so that way it's not too tight and packed in there. So the best way to do that is to separate the bows. So instead of making basically one bow, a large bow with all of the ribbons, you can separate them, and then also you can manipulate them even better. Look, I'm going to insert this one right here. Actually, I'm gonna insert this one on the other side, like that, and then I'm going to fluff, and see how it makes that bow even bigger? This one is not dovetail. Before I forget it, let me put that scissor through it. Always cut at an angle going up from the wire, and look at that. All right, so now here's where it all makes sense, because I'm going to grab this pumpkin, the large one that we got. I'm gonna cut it a little bit shorter, like that. This is the one that we put that skewer on, and I'm gonna sit her right here on the middle. And see how that bow just made sense just by adding that. And then I'm going to grab this orange one, I'm gonna cut it shorter, then I'm gonna put it going up right here on our foam. Look at that. And that bow, if you see how it just makes much more sense. Then I have this other green pumpkin I was going to add over here. You know what, I am going to. And I'm gonna add this pumpkin right here, making sure that I go through my foam. And so now I have a few sunflowers I want to add. So what I'm going to do is I'm gonna cut them a little bit shorter, and I'm just gonna add 2. So I'm going to add one right here, and then I'm going to add another one over on the other side. Remember, what happens on the right happens on the left. So I'm gonna go over to this side right here, and I'm going to, there you go, insert like that. So now what I'm going to do is I'm gonna fluff all of these ribbons, and I'm gonna put this on the door and share with you how easy it is to create a fantastic fall DIY wreath for your front door. Keep watching. I mean, can it get any more beautiful than that and affordable? These fall decorating ideas and DIYs are sure to not break your budget this fall season. All right, you guys, so for our next fall DIY idea, what we're going to do is we're going to create a gorgeous fall centerpiece DIY. Let's take a look. All right, everyone, for this next fall DIY, I thought I'd share with you a centerpiece that is super easy, affordable, and I know you will love it. The first thing we're going to need is going to be a large pumpkin, and I absolutely love this one because it has like a terracotta look to it. As I told you before, that is kind of like the theme for this collection. I'm gonna use some moms in the terracotta color as well. Look how pretty these go together. I'm going to use some florals. We're going to omit the cream ones, but we'll use the rest of them. I'm gonna use some floral foam, some florist tape, and a selection of foliages from David Christopher's in the browns and the green and the sage, and I just think they're gonna be perfect. And I don't know if I'm gonna use some of these burlap foliages, but I'm still gonna have them hit at hand. All right, so I'm gonna get started. I'm just gonna go ahead and put this aside. So what I'm going to share with you is that I have some of these blocks of foam, and what I did is I went ahead and put that on my pumpkin and twisted until I can no longer twist, gently, so that way I can put my florals in there. Because I don't want to glue it, what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab some of this florist tape that is see-through, and I'm going to basically very tightly go like this and glue it to my pumpkin like this. And for that, the pumpkin has to be really clean so that tape sticks to it. But we're going to do one like this, and then we're going to crisscross the other side. Also make sure that it's really tight, so that way it sticks to your pumpkin. And because it's clear, you won't be able to see it, and then you'll be able to reuse your pumpkin for other projects if you like. Also, always never forget to bend that tip, so that way you're not looking for your tape. It's a pain. All right, so I'm gonna put that right here in the middle. That's going to be our centerpiece right here. So I'm gonna start by adding some of these foliages. And I also love this David Christopher eucalyptus. And by the way, did you know you guys get 10% of any purchase at David Christopher's with the code Ramon10? All you have to do is at checkout, use the code Ramon10. That way you can get 10% on your purchase at David Christopher's. And I wanted to spill forward and back and down. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to insert some of them like cascading down, so you have to kind of go up on that. See how it cascades down? And I'm going to go ahead and add this one right here on the top like this, and I'm going to use this one over on the other side. The best way, like I told you many times before, is to just spin your pumpkin around every time that you are doing an insertion, because that way it allows you to continue to have that radiation, which is what makes your pumpkin look more natural. All right, oh, I have another one. Oh, two more. They were hiding from me. So I'm gonna add one right here on the top. And then I'm going to add another one coming down right here. So that's that. And then what I'm going to do is I'm gonna add some of these brown foliages that I absolutely love. Look how good those are, you guys. David Christopher really knows how to do foliage, and I just love it. When I went to the showroom in Atlanta, oh my gosh, they had so many beautiful foliages that I just wanted to get, but you know, your boy's on a budget, so I have to be selective of the ones that we use. And so this one was one of them. This is also one of the ones that I share with you on my shopping haul. So what I'm doing basically is I'm just cutting all of them, as many as I can. And then don't forget to save some of these stems as well, because later on they'll come in handy. All right, so I'm going to go right here, and then I'm going to go over on this side like that. Look how good that looks. It is so big and luscious, and I just absolutely love it. Like that. I'm gonna add one right here on the bottom. And I kind of need to step away to see where do I need some. So basically right here and right here. That is so pretty. Look how big and luscious that looks, and I just absolutely love that when it looks so full. All right, so now what I'm going to do is I'm gonna grab some of these beautiful moms, and these moms are going to help us to really fill in, and for that I need to cut them really short. So what we're going to do is we're going to insert these moms all the way in like that, And we're going to do sets of 3s, 2s, and 1s. Remember, that is a rule when you are doing florals. In order to have a beautiful floral arrangement, you have to do sets of 3s, 2s, and 1s, and then also do them on a triangle motion. Do you see right here how I did a triangle? 2 on the bottom, 1 on the top. So now what I'm going to is I'm going to move over to this side. I'm going to do a set of 2. And when you do a set of 2, you do one facing up and the other one facing forward right here. And that's also going to help you cover some of that foam. I'm going to do a set of, I'm going to actually do one right here. Then I'm going to do another one over here. Isn't this beautiful, this terracotta pumpkin? I love it. Okay, so I'm gonna go right here as far as I can. That's really good, but I think I need a few more over on this side. And remember, you can always go back with that moss, and I think I will later on go back with that moss to cover some of that. Look how pretty that looks, you guys. All right, so now those are all the ones I'm gonna use in that color. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut some of these guys right here, but I think I'm gonna cut them a little bit longer. So I'm gonna go ahead and use this, because remember, I already saved one of these stems from my other project to share with you guys. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut this a little bit longer. And remember, we're going to omit the cream ones. We're just gonna save them from another project over here. So I'm gonna put them over there. So what I'm going to do is I'm gonna grab some of these beautiful, look at that, it has the orange, the terracotta on them. And I want these ones to kind of fly away a little bit more. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to find my foam right here. And I want them to be a little bit further. Remember, what happens on the right happens on the left. And so what I'm going to do is I'm gonna add this guy right here. And then remember to do that triangle. So there's 2. What goes up must come down. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to basically put this one over here in that triangle motion. As you guys can see, 2 on the top, 1 on the front. And so now I'm going to repeat this with the other color. So now what I'm going to do is I have 2 on the top. I'm gonna add this one over on this side like that. And then I'm going to add 2 over on this side to create that triangle right here. And then I'm going to go over here like that. How absolutely cute is that, you guys? All right, so now what I'm going to do is I'm gonna use some of these foliages that are made out of burlap. This is gonna give us even more texture right here. So I'm gonna find my foam and I'm going to go up, down. And the one thing that I want you to notice is that I put it sideways. I never put them flat because you lose them. You get your money shot if you do use sideways like this. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab another one like that. Look at that. And because this spill forward so far out, you want to make sure that you let them spill out. This is what I was telling you earlier about letting them breathe, to where before we've done arrangements that were really packed. Well, we want to make sure that they get as long and as airy as possible. And the way you do that is by not pushing so far in. Remember, you can always cut them short, but you can never make them longer. So you want to make sure that you give enough stem in your project to have to make him fly away. Look how absolutely gorgeous this is. This is turning out even better than I imagined it when I thought of it on my mind, but I am so glad that it is looking so good. I hope you are liking it. If you are, you know what to do. Be sure to give this video a thumbs up and share with your friends so they too can come and join us here at Ramon at Home. All right, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna add one right here sideways. So pretty. Let me see, I'm gonna clear real quick and I'm gonna show you one last trick, so keep watching. All right, I absolutely love the way this turned out. As I told you before, by having a longer stem, it really lets your flowers breathe between insertions. And so now what I want to do is I wanna share with you how absolutely beautiful this looks with a candle on the top. That is the reason why I didn't fill in the top of my bouquet, because by adding a candle, you can have a gorgeous centerpiece for your table. Imagine 2 of them on a tablescape, perhaps even 3, or if you're having a party and having individual tablescapes, this is absolutely perfect. The colors are so beautiful and perfect for fall, starting with this terracotta pad. And you guys, this David Christopher's foliage, you cannot beat it. Look how absolutely gorgeous this looks. I really hope that you like it and you'll give it a try. But now I'm going to get ready for my next project. But before I do that, if you are enjoying this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up and share with your friends. And if you are new in this channel, be sure you consider subscribing for future fall DIYs and of course the holiday season coming your way. Stay tuned. Now tell me that didn't turn out absolutely gorgeous, and it was on a total budget. The pumpkin was half off at Hobby Lobby, actually 40% off now. And then all of my foliages from David Christopher's that were also 40% off when they had a sale. I really do recommend to shop in advance for your season decorating because you can save a ton of money. All right, before we move on to our next fall DIY, I want to ask you today's question, and that's going to be, what is your favorite color palette to decorate for fall? A neutral palette like last week's DIYs, or the traditional colors like this week's projects? All right, so now I'm going to take you back in time and I'm gonna share with you a gorgeous lantern DIY that I really think you're going to enjoy. Let's take a look. Okay everyone, to decorate this beautiful lantern for fall or Thanksgiving, what we're going to need is obviously a beautiful lantern. Now a lot of people have asked me how big this lantern is, so don't mind me while I cross right here on the table so that I can get a tape measure. And I'm gonna tell you guys right away how tall this lantern is. It is a big one and it would be so beautiful outside on an urn. So it is about 35 inches tall and it is about 12 inches square. So 35 by 1 foot for those who were wondering. Also what we're going to need is this Christmas greenery, and you guys know that I love to use the garlands for not only Christmas but also for fall. I'm gonna use a variety of foliages. I'm gonna use these two ribbons and I'm gonna use burlap and this beautiful pumpkin with glitter in it. Now these are recycled ribbons that I got. This is from Shinoda, the pumpkin one, and this is from Walmart. Then also I'm gonna use a variety of Christmas ornaments in the full colors like this brass and then this really pretty glittered, I think it's more like a pumpkin color, so pretty. And then also we're gonna use some sunflowers and pumpkins. All right, let's get started. We're gonna make this really quick in real time for you guys to see how easy it really is to decorate a beautiful lantern for fall. And the very first thing you need to do is you're going to fluff all of your greenery after you place it onto the top of your lantern right here. And you want it to be about equally draping on each side. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm gonna bring this ribbon, I'm gonna just drop it on the floor, and I'm going to start right here. And I wanna leave a tail going down, and I'm gonna start doing some loops, or yeah, I wanna call them loops. They are probably about 5 inches right here. And then I'm gonna, with the same bristles from the garland, I'm going to attach. Then I'm gonna kind of calculate about the same length as you guys can see. I'm gonna adhere to my lantern, and this is on a Lazy Susan. The Lazy Susan you guys always see me use when I make centerpieces and other floral arrangements, because I really like to be able to spin the project that I'm working with. And you see how right here is really tight? Well, I'm going to go ahead and just pull up, and I'm gonna bring my scissors and I'm going to dovetail this guy right here. And I'm gonna go ahead and do the same on the back. However, I don't have enough of the ribbon right here, so I'm gonna go ahead and bring this one. And because it is going to be sitting flat against the wall, then I don't wanna be as precise on the back, but you do want to put some ribbon on the back in case that your table is lower, then your eye is going to be able to see over it, and you want to make sure that you see all of these beautiful ribbon all throughout your lantern so it looks finished on all sides. Thumbs up if you guys are enjoying this fall series. We've done so many cool projects this fall series and we're just getting started. However, also we are gearing up for the holiday season, and let me just tell you, this Christmas season you will not want to miss Ramon at Home videos, because we're going big at Ramon at Home. We're doing all of these beautiful fabulous projects and they're all going to be just absolutely gorgeous, like nothing I've ever done before here on the channel, and I cannot wait for you guys to see. All right, so I'm gonna cut right here some dovetails. I'm gonna go ahead and dovetail this guy while I'm at it, because if I come to your house and if you don't have your ribbons dovetailed, trust me, I will ask you for scissors so that I'm able to dovetail them for you. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to get some of this burlap ribbon, and I'm gonna start right here. So I'm going to pinch and just leaving a little tail. You wanna make sure that you leave a little tail just so it has enough of the ribbon hanging down. Then what you wanna do is you wanna pinch, and I want this ribbon to be in the middle of the 2 rows of pumpkin ribbon, and this is just for texture. I'm gonna go over the lantern and I'm gonna attach right here. I want it to look really full and plentiful because I feel like that's what fall is about. It's about bountiness and plentiness and full beautiful displays of beautiful fall items like pumpkins and gourds. And all right, so I'm gonna leave right here and I'm gonna dovetail one more tail and making sure that I have all of my ribbons. All right, so I'm gonna just use this little piece right here and I'm gonna put it right in the back. I'm gonna pinch right in the middle and I'm gonna attach right here. And I'm just gonna do 1 loop to each side. I just love reading your guys' comments. You guys have left me some really awesome comments that you've learned so many tricks here at Ramon at Home. So be sure to leave me a comment down below and let me know which was the first video that you saw here at Ramon at Home. I'm really interested to know how were you introduced to this channel. I would love to read your comments. So just leave me a comment below and let me know what was the first video you watched here at Ramon at Home. All right, so far this is what it looks like. We have all of our ribbons, and you know that we always go back at the end and we fluff the ribbons because we continue to work with items and they're gonna get flattened out. But here's a tip: you want to give some give to your ribbon so that way it gets smooshed with other things. You are able to go in there and fluff and make it look how it's supposed to. All right, so now I have these beautiful foliages and I have these 2 stems. These 2 stems came from Hobby Lobby, and this magnolia right here came from Pier 1 when they were still in business. But you can use any foliage that you may have already, or if you want to go out and buy. But here's a tip: I like to use a bigger foliage like this big leaf, and I like to mix it with a smaller foliage just to give the project more texture. So I'm going to start right here and I'm going to introduce, and just using some of those bristles I am going to attach, and that'll stay right here. Now remember, what happens on the right happens on the left. So I'm going to bring yet another one of these foliages all the way over to this side. And what this step does, what happens on the right happens on the left, it just helps you balance your arrangement. As you guys can see, there's some of the same items on both sides, and that's just gonna keep the balance on your bouquet or your arrangement. So I'm gonna go ahead and give it a curvature like this. I'm gonna insert right here in the middle, and then I'm going to attach with my bristles. Just give it a spin like that. Then I'm gonna go over to the other side, and about the same place where I did the other, I'm gonna attach right here some of these foliages like that. So now you have all that foliage all the way around. So now I have some of this, but this comes in a longer form. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and cut some smaller forms. And I'm always telling you guys, don't be afraid to cut your greeneries or your foliages because you already paid for it. You know, what's the point of having all of these foliages and then at the end of the season you just store them when you can go ahead and use some of these foliages shorter, and they just look better on your projects when you cut them the right length. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and add one right here. Then I'm going to spin around and I'm gonna add another one. This one is too long, first of all, so I'm gonna cut right here. So now I have 2 shorter ones, as you can see. So I'm gonna add one right here in the front, just attach with the bristles, and I'm gonna go 1 step further up right here. And as you can see, it's gonna continue that foliage all the way throughout. And by attaching this with the bristles of the greenery garland, you can put this outside and there is no gust of wind that's going to be able to take apart your project because it's really well attached with those bristles. And let me just say, they just stay there. All right, so I have a few left. I'm gonna go ahead and put this on the back. So there's some of it on the back just hanging out. Once again, in case that your eye travels back there, as you guys can see, just by adding that little touch, it really looks finished all throughout. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm gonna bring my ornaments and I'm gonna start placing them on my garland. And I already went ahead and pre-wire them. You guys know that I like to pre-wire with a 22 gauge wire. I just cut them in half, and I like to give myself a long tail. That way I have some some wire to attach, and as you guys can see, I'm just gonna go ahead and circle once to the right, and I'm just gonna place the ornament there. I'm gonna bring one right here, and I like to alternate. I use one of the shiny ones over on this side, so I'm now gonna use one of these right here, and as you guys can see, just by giving it one twist to the right, and it'll stay right where you need it. So now I'm gonna alternate to this guy right here. I'm gonna add one right here hanging down, and just one twist to the right. And the reason why I want you to do just one twist to the right is because then taking them apart or taking them down from your tree, you know that all of the ornaments went just one twist to the right. All you have to do is one twist to the left and your ornament will come right off. And because it's attaching to a garland or to a bristle on a Christmas tree, then it is super easy. As you guys can see, look, one twist to the right. I'll leave it there. I hide this wire because it's long. So when I go in and take it out, all I have to do is one twist to the left and my ornament comes right out. And that way I don't struggle to take my pieces apart. So now I'm gonna bring one to the back. I'm gonna add this one right here on the back. Well, the other tip is, if you have these ornaments, I recommend you glue the little cap, so that way you can be well, a little bit more aggressive like I am right here. So I'm gonna go ahead and pick that one up here in a second, but first I'm going to finish. Let's see, let's spin it around. I feel like I need one right here on the top, so I'm going to add this one right here and just attach, place it in place. Let's see. And I'm gonna end with one down here, hanging down with the ribbons. And I'm gonna add and make sure that it hangs down like this. One twist to the right, making sure that I got that. All right, so I'm gonna rescue that ornament. I'm gonna glue it together and I'll be right back, stay tuned. Okay, now I'm back and I'm going to go ahead and add some of these sunflowers that I went ahead and cut short, because once again, just by adding this sunflower and just giving it a twist with one of the bristles of the garland is going to stay in place. So there's no need really for gluing, because that's really going to lock it and secure it right here. So I'm gonna add one right here on the top. So I'm gonna go ahead and add this one, just making sure that I go through my garland and then attach with the bristle. Now, if you wanted to feel more secure about it, and if you want to glue it, go ahead and glue it. I'm not saying don't, but I just don't really think that if you need to, if you are really using the bristles on your garland to secure it where it needs to go. As you guys can see, just one twist on the head of the flower, it'll withstand the wind. So far, so good. I'm gonna go ahead and add just one here on the back, because we want it to be finished all the way around. And so now I'm gonna add some of these pumpkins that I have. These came from Hobby Lobby and they are 40% off right now. So go and stock up. So I'm gonna go ahead and add one right here. And I'm gonna go ahead and go up like this. And I'm gonna grab this bristle and then just twist it on the stem and push that pumpkin right there. Look how that just stays right there. So I'm gonna add another one right here. So I'm gonna go up on this one. And I'm gonna go ahead and add this bristle, give it a twist. And like I said, we're gonna go ahead and fluff all of these ribbons towards the end. So there's two, and I feel like we might need one right here. This one I'm gonna go ahead and point up like this. Make sure that I have a bristle to attach to, and here's one. Just go ahead and twist that up. And as you guys can see, it all stay right there in place. And I have my last ornament that I broke earlier. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to look for a place. It's becoming full. So I'm going to look for a place. I'm going to attach it right here. Just remember, one twist to the right and hide your wire. And so now what we need to do is we need to fluff all of our ribbons, and I'll show you what that looks like. So stay tuned. Okay, so now that your lantern is all done up on the top, what we need to do is do something inside of it. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to add this little wooden razor. I'm gonna add it right here. And if you guys saw the shopping haul that I did from Shinoda, the Science Center, you know I am in love with this cute little owl that is made out of this really cool grass material with a beautiful pilgrim outfit. I just think he's absolutely adorable. So I'm gonna place him inside of my lantern. And then I have all of these leftover flowers from past projects. And so what I'm going to do is I'm just gonna go ahead and cover the bottom. And actually I'm gonna take him out first. It's a good idea to go ahead and cover the bottom with flowers and pumpkins and gourds, so that way it covers the stand and he looks like he is floating on some field of beautiful, full, bountiful flowers like this. Make sure that you want to give it a spin around to make sure all of it is covered. Once it's covered, go ahead and add some cute little pumpkins right here, maybe right here, just so there is some texture. And he looks like he's fell into a field of bountifulness. So I'm gonna put him right here on the top, and that's what it looks like. What do you guys think? Wasn't that lantern so adorable? If you've been following the channel, you know that I love to decorate lantern, especially for fall and for Christmas, but then also they are perfect for outdoor decorating and events like weddings and baby showers. So if you don't have a lantern, I really say start looking for one, because here at Ramon at Home, we love to decorate lantern for the seasons. All right, you guys, well, now for our last fall DIY on a total budget, we're going to create a dual purpose DIY. You know that I love me a dual purpose DIY, and I really think you're going to like this one. All right, everyone, so for this last fall DIY, what I wanted to share with you is a wreath that is also going to be used as a candle ring. And for that, I selected this ring. Actually, I already had it. I think this comes from some craft store. You're gonna use some of your florist tape and a wire. I'm gonna use flowers in the terracotta, the pearl, and then also this brown right here, and some foliages as well. Now this is going to be to go with the last week's collection. If you have not seen last week's collection video, I'm going to link it down below. I shared with you 5 amazing fall DIYs that were on the neutral palette color, and I really wanted to share this one with you, but well, I ran out of time. So we're gonna do it today. So what I'm going to do is I'm gonna start by taping my wire. And so what I'm going to do is I'm gonna put my tape right here. I'm gonna bring my wire, and this is a florist tape that you can find at Hobby Lobby or anywhere where craft supplies are sold. You will find this on the florist area. The reason why we tape a wire is so that when we work with it, it doesn't hurt our fingers when you're working on the floral industry. And then also it gives you grip, and it makes you work easier with wire, because if you pull on it, you're not gonna harm your fingers. And it has this wax texture, so if you are a florist or aspiring florist, I recommend you get yourself some of that. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm gonna grab my form right here, and I'm gonna give it a little bit of a loop like this, and then I'm going to go like this, and I'm going to do it again over on this side. And the tackiness of that tape really allows that wire to hang on. See how easy it is to make a door hanger. All right, so now what I'm going to do is I'm gonna add, oh, let me get my wire cutters, you guys. I've been working all day, and my neighbor is vacuuming her car, and so I have to stop and start over, stop and start over. So I'm gonna cut this a little bit shorter, and what I'm going to do is I'm gonna start right here, going to my right. And remember, when we do a wreath, we keep it all going on the same motion, because that is how a wreath is made. So you wanna make sure that you go all one side, and you don't do north-south. You wanna do them, see, if I put this one like going like that, then it won't be as balanced, as beautiful. So what I'm going to do is I'm just gonna go one run around, all the way around with this beautiful foliage. And I just love this neutral palette, you guys, because it really lends itself to creating beautiful decor pieces, and it's just neutral for everybody. Like if you have a neutral palette home, it's perfect, but if you have a colorful palette home, then it just tones it down a little bit, and it really does create more drama by having this. So I'm gonna go all the way around, like I said, just inserting some of these foliages, and just make sure that you insert all the way down. And see, there's a gap right here. This is usually where we tend to forget because our arm is closer to that area, but we have to go in there and just add. So now that we've finished the perimeter going outside, what we want to do is go on the inside. So we want to add some of this foliage in the inside of the perimeter. So that way it looks thicker and fuller. And this is going to be done with basically just a few dollars. You really don't have to spend a lot of money if you have a smaller door, if you live in an apartment, or if you live somewhere where there's just smaller doors. You don't have to spend a whole bunch of money. You can create something beautiful. And like I said, it's dual purpose because it's going to also be our Kindle ring. All right, so now I'm gonna start with these florals right here. I'm gonna start with the terracotta ones. And what I'm going to do is I'm gonna cut them short as well. And I'm gonna start right here on the top and giving them just a little bit of give. I wanna say probably about 2 inches. And I'm going to start tightly inserting those flowers and skipping where the foliage is because we do want to see some of that foliage. And that's why I love these affordable flowers, because look, you can really get an impact with these florals. And I'm sorry if you can hear my neighbor vacuuming her car, but you know, it's just what it is. All right, so, and if you're watching, neighbor, sorry, I had to bring it up. I know she watches once in a while. She tells me, oh, I've seen your video on YouTube. All right, so now I'm going to continue right here. And I'm going to do a third of it. So you have as many flowers. You want to make sure that this is as packed as possible. Because remember, we did a centerpiece that was ombre style. And so I wanted to make this to go with that centerpiece. And so we're doing a third of it. So basically, I'm going to move on to my next flower, which is going to be this one right here. And I'm just going to put them over on this side. And I'm going to do the exact same thing. And I'm going to insert some of these flowers by packing them really tight, skipping the foliage, because I do want that texture of the foliage. And so I'm gonna start right there. And the thing is that we do have to cut every single one very short. The easiest way to do this is like if you do one on the back, then you do one on the front, and then you go ahead and do one on the side, so that way it is super packed. And then we're going to repeat on the other side. At this point, it's basically 2 sides of the wreath because you don't do the middle. So I'm gonna do one right here, and I'm going to insert one on the front right here, making sure that it's tight, and then one over on the side or the back, and see how tight that is. I'm gonna do one more row. After that, I'm going to do the mums. I'm gonna speed this up because it's very self-explanatory. I'll be right back with you. Keep watching. All right, I am back just to give you a few more tips, and that is that we have the darkest color right here on the top. We graduated to the lighter one, and so what you want to do so is ombre. You want to go ahead and grab one of the flowers from the top and put it at the very bottom of the next layer, and that's going to make it blend in. And you have to do that on each side because remember, what happens on the right happens on the left. So I'm gonna go over to this side, and that kind of graduates to the next color. So now the reason why I didn't finish right here, I'm just gonna leave my foliage pop out, is because I want to make a cute little bow for our wreath, because you know, it's not a wreath, it's not a Ramon at home wreath without any ribbon, right? So I'm going to do one real quick. So I'm going to give, and I want it to be longer tails. So I'm gonna pinch right here, and then I'm going to do a 4-loop bow, and basically you have to do twist, pinch, and then do an X, so that way your bow is really even. And then do an X right here. And I want it to be very loopy and a lot of tails. So what I'm going to do is I'm gonna give it 3 tails. And the way I'm gonna do that is to bring that up like this. You know, I'm gonna use all the ribbon because I already bought it, so why not? So what I'm going to do is I'm gonna pinch right here, and you're gonna be left with this big loop right here. We're gonna cut into 2 tails. You grab your wire, and you wire all of this together like so. And once you have it all tied together, we're gonna go in here where our space is, and I'm gonna actually take it out from the back, and I'm gonna twist it really tight to make sure that it's really tight. And then what we're going to do is we're going to cut our dovetails. So we're gonna do one right here, and this one that is like this, you guys, you just cut it basically like this. And I do want to stagger my dovetails, so I'm gonna make sure that there's like a staggering motion going on right here. So that way there's more texture in my wreath. So I'm gonna do that like this. Let me see, and I feel like I could do a few more flowers right there. I'm gonna finish that, put it on the door, and show you what it looks like. Keep watching. Okay, I just wanted to share real quick how absolutely beautiful this candle looks like with this wreath made as a candle ring. You guys can dual purpose your DIYs. I just put a little crystal stand on it and put my candle on it. This would be perfect for a coffee table, perhaps even a wedding centerpiece for fall. It is super easy to make and very affordable, so I really hope that you give it a try this fall season.